This is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. In this podcast, we'll explore tools, technologies, and talented people. We aim to bring you information to expand your skill sets and toolbox and share the stories of fellow network engineers.
Welcome to the Art of Network Engineering podcast. My name is Aaron, also known as @AaronEngineered. With me, I have the one and only Permit IP Andy Laptef.
What's up?
Yo, dude, it's been so long since I've heard that. Except earlier, I'm not kidding you. I got a brand new neighbor. They just moved in, and so their parking spot's right next to ours, and their license plate says "What's up?" And I was like, gosh, who would say that nowadays? And I just got my answer. And AJ, no Blinky Murray.
Good evening.
Good evening, TV land. And Daniel, the videographer Richards. How are you shaking your head, Dan? AKA Howdy Patty Packet. Howdy. Yeah, you guys win for doing that. So this is the point of the show where I would usually shout out who got W's this week, W being win, as in not an L, which is a loss, in our Discord channel. And just so happens that the only person that admitted they got a W this week is actually our guest as well. So that's pretty convenient. That person is the one and only bearded one himself, Carl the Thor Zellers.
What up, guys?
But actually, if you're LinkedIn, well, how do you say it on LinkedIn? Are you friends or like connected? What is that? I don't even know. Connected. Okay, so if you're connected with Carl on LinkedIn, you wouldn't even recognize him because he's missing 90% of his profile.
Years ago.
Back when you were a younger man. So Carl, start us off, dude. What'd you pass this week, man?
So a few months back, got kind of the hankering to get into this enterprise design. It was flinging around on Twitter just after AJ passed, and I don't know. I figured I'd grab the book, thumb through it, see what it was all about. Took a practice test, did pretty well, at least better than I thought I might have done. So yeah, just kind of stuck with it, did some reading and jammed it up.
That was
2 nights ago, actually.
2 nights ago.
Yeah,
So that was the we're calling them
ENSLD, the salad. Yeah, the salad, the big salad.
The enterprise salad.
I know. I love we're giving them like food names, like the sandwich and the salad. Those are great. Yeah. I think Penaloza was the one that came up with that. So shout out to him. Cool, man. So it sounds like it was pretty easy, right?
Yeah. Well, for reference, no CCDA in the old format, so
okay. That's good to know.
Didn't really have that on. Never really had the design stuff on my radar. Kind of like a lot of people, was doing the CCNP. Realized after shortly after getting into it, there's only one more exam you need, for the DP. But turns out I would have had to gone back and get the DA and all that stuff. So kind of left it alone and just let the big certpocalypse happen and kind of see what happened on the other side. So
then you saw AJ pass and you were like, I know that guy. There's no way I'm not going to be able to pass it because AJ passed it.
Well, I gotta be honest, man. Design is kind of an underrated discipline within all this stuff.
It's sneaky.
Every single track. So
it's sneaky. It's kind of like the wireless one. Nobody likes wireless, but so this is a little bit different than that in that regard. But I still feel like those are kind of like still a little bit of outliers. I guess I could consider SD-WAN maybe, but that's not even really a thing. That Cisco SD-WAN book is literally just a Viptela handbook. So yeah, so you have that book too, because I saw you posted that on Twitter. I just got 2 of the books myself. So you have the salad and the sandwich. You got the whole buffet over there. When are you taking the sandwich?
I don't know. I got through the first 2 chapters the other day. Haven't taken a practice test yet or anything through Pearson. So We'll see how the end of the year goes. It's pretty wide open, but things get kind of condensed, around the holidays. A lot less reading, that kind of stuff. So,
family, etc., etc.
Now, do you have your Encore?
I was, I guess, grandfathered in is maybe the word from
So
the previous CCNP. So, I got. With the changes, I got pushed the Encore and the NRC, I guess is how people are terming that.
Yeah. Yep, that's what happened to me too.
Advanced routing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically a CCNP route switch. It's weird. Like AJ and I were talking about this. I don't know how long ago that was. I think it was like right after this whole Apocalypse thing happened, and it was weird because I was super confused. Like you, I'm grandfathered. And actually, I just learned today that we can't say grandfathered anymore. Did you guys hear that?
No.
I'll get to that in a minute. This is hilarious. All right, so yeah. So anyway, I was grandfathered as well, but then I was like, oh, maybe I should just go take the CCIE lab because I'm just stupid like that. And AJ was like, no, you got to take Encore because that's the CCIE written. Even though I'm technically have it since I'm grandfathered, I don't have it. Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
that is weird.
Are you 100% sure about that?
AJ is.
Yes, because I have talked to other people that are in the same situation where they were grandfathered in. They were given credit for Encore and Asari because they had route switch and T-shoot, and they want to go take the IE lab, but they still have to take the Encore because that's the new IE written.
All right. I mean, to be fair, if you were getting turned away by the CCIE lab because you were ready to book it and they're like, you need to go take this, I'm pretty confident you'd be okay at taking Encore. But still, like, that would really kind of chat me if I went to go schedule and then, like, let's say that they didn't even catch that, right? Because I'm like the first one to go to the CCIE lab after it opens back up, and I go. And because quite honestly, that's been since Apocalypse too, right? Like COVID smashed right into Apocalypse, so that's crazy. So I could be the first one walking in there. They wouldn't have a process for it yet, So they're like, oh yeah, I get the conditional pass in an email, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, we screwed up. You got to go back and pass Encore, dude. What? No.
There's a couple of I don't know, steps or things that maybe
opportunities that they
opportunities
missed.
For improvement. Like, if they're going to give credit for route and switch to Encore, there was that specialist exam NP-DESI that was all about automation. I mean, that seems very relevant, but that didn't equate to anything. That didn't equate to Ian Auto. That didn't equate to DevNet Associates. So that is just now like an extinct certification. However, it seems like the skills that one would acquire going for that certification would be very relevant today.
Yeah. So same with the data center, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the service provider tracks, both very important.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, I don't know. Maybe we're supposed to be learning elsewhere and we just don't know it yet. Carl, how many certifications do you have, dude? You have like 100,000 of these things, right?
I've got some Juniper certifications, Cisco, eLearn Security, which is they're primarily a red team cyber ops kind of certification granting authority, but they do have some blue team, so a blue team cert through them. Palo Alto. PC NSA, not the engineer, the associate, I guess it is. Done a lot of firewall work.
You're a
Rocky network administrator, the CMNA.
You're a firewall dude because you're always actually I would actually consider you a VPN dude.
Yeah, I have the Cisco the network security VPN implementation specialization, which is cool. That was a big one for me. I really enjoy VPNs.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's a specialty track in the CCNP.
Where did you find it on the website? Like, what did you type?
It's under the security core.
Yeah. Once you take the S core, you have to take a concentration or specialization, just like enterprise. And I think they've got ESA, WSA, VPN, the security core, auto, whatever the automation one is.
Yeah, security auto, yeah. Sec
Yep.
auto.
I'm an idiot. I didn't even know that.
Firepower. I think they have a firepower one.
Yeah.
I bet they do.
Yeah.
I bet they do.
You know, I'm surprised they have WSA and not like Umbrella or AMP.
It's weird. They split WSA and ESA, the email scanning and the web scanning appliance centric exams. I think they were separate in the old NP as part of the 4-exam format, but I was surprised to see those still split in this new format. They're I don't know. I'm not really sure that they're really widespread technologies, but you know, anything that has a cloud-based platform, you can usually bet it's going to persist. But
so, like, you take a lot of certs, and I notice this all quite frequently. What we have, like, I'll just call them repeat offenders, and you're one of them. Where it's like you seem like every other week or week and a half, he's like, here's a cert. Lately, it's been AJ too, but he's like, it's Monday morning. Let's see what cert Carl got. Like, what is the secret to your breakneck speed, dude? Like, teach us the secret sauce. We know you have a family. You're married.
Yep,
you know,
married,
so you got
kids,
obligations, full-time job. Like, so what? Teach us what we don't know here, dude.
I don't know that it's a secret as much as probably a lot of it really does come from experience. Not that I know everything, but the kind of the directions I head generally are backed by a lot of real world experience. So I don't think there's a lot of real hard nose, net new kind of, grueling handwritten notes for the most part. There's a lot of overlap within a lot of these. So not sure there's really a secret, but I don't know. I mean, if there's a secret, maybe it's just a mindset,
So you do something every day?
hardwired to really lean on that learning and see if it's stuck.
Do you study every day?
Probably, I would say on average, maybe like 4 days a week.
Okay, so like
Hardly
anytime you have
ever
like
on
a free,
weekends anymore.
so you have like a free moment, you're just like, I'm gonna just go read this real quick.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know if it's a meditation thing, but it's a good way to get 30 minutes in before the day starts. Lunchtime, that sort of thing.
So there's people that have a conflicting view of that, and when I say conflicting, I mean almost polar opposite. And one such guy is Andy Laptev. In fact, you say it's like meditation. He would probably say that it's like being tortured in a Turkish prison.
Well, how much experience do you have, Carl? How long you been in the industry?
This will be 6 years.
Okay.
I took a huge leap, made a career change back in 2014. So
wait, so all right, let's back up. So you were in the military at one point.
Yep.
Okay. You get out of the military. What'd you say, Dan?
Which branch?
The Marines.
Marines.
He's in the Marines. He was in the tough guy one.
Naval
All right,
infantry.
so dang, that sounds intimidating. Can I play that guy on Call of Duty or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he have a sweet beard like that?
Yeah.
So anyway, you get out of the military day one. They're like, "So here we go. You're free, and you got a stick with a handkerchief and all your worldly possessions hanging off the back of it." Where are you going from there?
Bindle.
Is that what that is?
It wasn't quite like that. I was actually, it was reserved. So when I was actually working part-time and going to school at the same time. I was working at FedEx. I had started at FedEx shortly after high school, had been there a long time. Up to prior to enlistment, I just kind of floated around this community college and took classes and passed most of them, not all of them, but didn't really have a plan leading up to that. So, it's always funny to me with the whole college and certification thing. I think I have probably 150 college credits of just varying usefulness and uselessness general ed stuff. I mean, I just didn't have a plan. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. So
Yeah. And I mean, how could you at that age though? Isn't that a little ridiculous?
yeah, I mean, I've heard my story's a lot like yours, man. In my younger days, it was just kind of having fun, hanging out, like not worrying
That's
about
Andy,
too much.
first of all.
Yeah, not worrying about
Keeps
too
going, Andy.
much. Except for maybe, I farthest I looked ahead was maybe a couple hours for a lot of
Okay, maybe you are like me. I still do that.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Actually I got interested in IT. A roommate of mine at the time, we were both taking college class, both going to school, working, hanging out and stuff. And he was going to school for computer science. I know Andy's brought this up a couple times, and De'Ara and some other people about, the whole computer science. He's in more of a software kind of programming discipline. And but I kind of thought, what about computers? What about that? And my mind is kind of it's kind of geared on how things work. Seeing a process, understanding it, building it, taking it down, fixing it, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of applied how my mind works to several different disciplines over the years through college classes and trial and error and that sort of thing. So I thought, well, what about computers? Let's check it out. Took some classes at a community college. I didn't know anything about IT. IT to me was literally IT.
2 letters.
The acronym, the common, household name for anyone that does computers. I'm going to try IT. I don't know what that is, but it's IT. So I ended up in networking classes, and I just fell in love with it. So
how old were you?
At that point was probably 23, I think.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So got into some networking classes in a community college. It lined up with the Cisco Network Academy. I know a lot of people probably have heard of that or been a part of it. So that's kind of where, the whole certification game comes in. It lines up with the Cisco certification. You get a voucher after the program and stuff. So yeah.
So you got your CCNA there?
It was actually probably 2 years after I finished the Cisco Network Academy when I finally got a CCNA.
And how long ago from now?
I went straight into pursuing a bachelor's.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
full time and working full time. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, where were you working?
Yeah.
All right. So the first job I took, this is crazy. Yeah. So I was at FedEx, right?
Yeah.
I've been there almost 9 years, and it's kind of a lot of the seniority and all this stuff. A lot of people know kind of the golden rule with UPS, FedEx. Like, you work all the way until you get that full time route. Takes 8, 9, 10, 12 years. So actually, my number came up. In 1 week, I had a full time route job offer in my hand. This 2 days, I think 2 days before the very first IT job I took, that same offer in my hand on the same week. So I had to leave FedEx. I had to give up my seniority. I had to give up. I didn't have to. That was the plan all along.
Sure, but still, the
Scary.
timing of them. Well, scary, yes, but the timing of them finally being
Quite the
like, "Hey, dude."
crossroad.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. That's. I don't think that you could replicate that feeling anywhere because the amount of like
50% pay cut to do this.
Oh, see, I was going to ask you.
The time that you've invested in to get to where you can get your
exactly.
own route,
That's exactly
and then
it.
take a pay cut on top of
Then
that.
take a pay cut. So can we ask? Because I'm dying to know. Like, what is a full-time route for a UPS driver make?
So it was what they like at FedEx. We call them swing drivers. So we'll be full time. A lot of split shifts, covering vacations, sick calls. Ad hoc for really really heavy routes.
The new guy.
Yep. But the thing with FedEx is though, once you level up inside the company, they try to take your accumulated raises over years, and they try to translate that into a new pay grade, a new pay scale.
So it's low.
Well, they say, okay, you've been in this job for 4 or 5 years, you've gotten 4 or 5 pay raises yearly. We don't want to start you, even though your pay right now is below the minimum for the next job up. We're not going to give you the minimum of the next job up. We're going to give you kind of equivalent what you would be in that next job.
Oh,
Right?
okay. So they give you more.
If I'm 8% above my current pay grade and I move into a new pay grade, I'm not going to start at the bottom because my 8% above my current is lower than the low. So they try to make you whole as you move up. So
there's also some overlap too, I would bet, right? In some of that. So then you could actually be making as much as somebody in a rank above you. So how much? So give us some numbers, dude. Less than 100?
Yeah, without overtime, I mean, it would have been right around like 58, 59, almost maybe 60 a year.
That's about what I assumed.
Yep. And my first IT job, it wasn't hourly, I mean, it was salary, but I think the offer letter was like $34,000 a year, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What kind of job was that, Carl? What was it?
I was working for a managed service provider. We were basically business class internet network security on behalf of several large national ISPs. Time Warner Cable back in the day, Comcast. So when they would sell business class internet, they would also sell business class internet security services managed, which was us. So that was kind of our deal.
That's a sweet contract to have.
Yep. I started as a provisioning technician. So what we would do effectively is get these new accounts. We would contact their technical resource, whoever that may be. It may be a store manager, it may be someone of mild technical ability or no technical ability, but we would do a site survey. What's your network like now? Because we have to pre-provision these devices to ship on site to be installed by the install technician. So a lot of low-level configuration, but a lot of our standard boilerplate reporting on the back end for the value add there and some of the security stuff. But I did that for about 6 or 7 months, and then was moved into the NOC. So from there, it was just in-flight support.
So why did you take that huge pay cut to leave FedEx to go to an IT role?
So I had at right around that time, I had finished my associates in information systems or information technology. So I had my associates. I thought I'm definitely gonna keep pursuing my bachelor's, but that associates was enough to get me an interview for some entry-level roles. So I knew long term I was gonna make the transition. A year. I always say like a year, as a driver, like a FedEx driver, UPS driver, that's kind of the equivalent of about 4 years of a desk job.
Oh, dude, yeah.
It's a pretty hard. It's a pretty hard job. It's a fun job.
Stressful, physical, probably. Right?
Yeah. You're out in the weather all the time. It's hot. It's cold. It's rainy.
So you had like a long game, a long plan. You weren't. It wasn't all about money day to day. You knew.
It was the work smarter, not harder. That's all it was. Work smarter, not harder. And I loved, I loved networking. Once I got into it, I loved it. So it was kind of a work smarter, not harder, and do what you love. So
you can't ignore that pay cut, right? Like you left a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to think, what makes you happy, what your long-term plans are, like you said. So
right.
But half though, gosh.
Yeah, half. Yeah.
I'm like, I'll be happy and broke. That's me. The
How old were you?
happiest
Were you in your
cheapskate.
20s?
Yeah, I was probably 20 something, about 28, 29.
Was this after the Marines?
Yeah. So I'm 30. I'll be 36 this year.
Okay.
So I was right. Yeah, I was right about 29.
So you got your first IT job at 29, 7 years ago. You were at this entry-level place as a provisioning tech. Then you moved to the NOC.
Yep.
Have you, because you used to live in other places, have you ever moved for any of these jobs, like physically?
Nope. Never moved for a job. Nope.
But
we
relocated. Okay, you relocated and then got a job while you were relocating.
Yeah, relocated for my wife's position.
Oh, okay.
The company at the time didn't want to let me go, so they let me go remote. So when we did relocate, we lived in Michigan for a little while. So I was remote for the company in Greensboro, North Carolina that I worked for, my first job. Stayed remote with them for I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 more months. And as part of our relocation with my wife's job, we had a lot of perks. Resume. Let's take your resume. We'll circulate it around for you, kind of thing. And I thought, well, that's fine. I don't really plan on moving, but the phone starts ringing and stuff. So it's hard to. You guys know how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I don't know if you've noticed, but my phone has just been ringing off the hook this whole time with people trying to talk to me. They're just dying to get a hold of me.
It's just new blood in the water. I've only been there for a few months, so it's new talent. People, I guess, if you're new to a certain area, they'll start sniffing you out. So.
Yeah, they can smell it on you for sure. So one of the places your resume got shopped to, is that where you're at right now, or no?
No. So I took a position in Michigan for a small regional ISP that exclusively served the communities that it was a property management company. So big townhomes, apartments, that kind of thing. Ultimately, really wasn't too into it. Wasn't getting a lot of hands-on as far as like the network side. It was a lot of cable, DOCSIS kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right up our alley, man. Keep talking dirty to us. Watch what happens.
Yeah, getting into a CMTS every day.
Oh, stop it.
Get me excited.
I gotta calm down.
Dan, do you know what they're saying? Because I don't understand.
I gotta go get a bucket of ice water, man.
It's a cable guy.
It's a cable modem termination service. It's very sexy.
Yeah, it's like a 20U, the 10K, the Cisco UBR 10Ks. They're like a half rack. They're huge, man.
That's where all your modems aggregate into.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Just a big TDM box.
Cable.
It was kind of cool. I wasn't like in love with it. So I ended up in a data center managed services cloud hosting sort of company probably 8 or 9 months later. And I was there for about almost 4 years. Loved it. Same thing happened again though. We wanted to relocate back to North Carolina. They didn't want to let me go, so I went remote again when I moved back down here. So really loved that job. Did a lot of managed services, a lot of data center work, a lot of the back end network infrastructure work for cloud hosting. A lot of fun. Really loved it. Great people. So.
And so it was so great you left.
Yep. So here's what happened. Yeah. It was a privately held company. It was called Sequent Technologies. Ownership was kind of getting towards their twilight, and they were entertaining offers for a buyout and everything. And I guess they had maybe 4 or 5 interested parties. I was kind of keeping close tabs with my manager, and not really. We didn't really have anyone. I was the only remote employee at that point in time. So I was keeping tabs, thinking, are they gonna, if we go through a transition, are they gonna want to maintain a remote workforce or even support one if it's just one person? So at that point, kind of started unknowing, probably wasn't going to be an issue, but had to go ahead and plan anyway. So put some feelers out there and ended up at Cisco here in Raleigh, North Carolina, the RTP campus, probably about 4 months later.
Oh, wow.
So how'd you end up at Cisco?
Yeah. So like I said, that company.
Thank you.
Going under transition of ownership.
Dude, hold on. Stop. Okay. Every time you talk about your job, you're like, yeah, so I just ended up over here. Like you're just like casually walking down. Like when I casually end up somewhere, it's like a 7-Eleven or something for you. For you, you're like
casually get to Cisco.
Yeah,
because I've been trying to get to Cisco, and I don't know. Maybe I gotta
I don't know. I like it's a massive. I don't know if you've ever like looked it up on Google Earth, but there's like 15 buildings here in Raleigh. So there's, in all fairness, it wasn't me competing with 60,000 other qualified individuals. There's kind of constant openings, that sort of thing. So anyway, a role came up that was really, really, really close to what I'd been doing as far as data center networking and managed services. So it just felt right. It was really, just almost the exact same job, just with ACI instead of traditional data center networking.
So wait, because you work at INE right now.
Yep.
Okay, so for everybody out there, if you don't know what INE is, welcome to technology. Welcome to the world of networking. So INE is an online learning resource. They have some of the smartest dudes in the world, folks, I should say, doing a lot of training. And what's good about them is that they have rack rentals, so you can buy tokens and actually lab up. So they have like lab follow along books. They have lots of cool stuff. I know people usually go to like, and I'm just explaining this for those who have never heard of it, but like folks usually go to like Udemy or CBT Nuggets or Pluralsight, one of those. INE is just another one of those resources. So you're a network engineer at a place that does network engineering classes. I mean, you're basically like a janitor at a landfill, right? like
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean though? It's like yeah, we all do that. Like,
Yep.
do you ever get like, because okay, we talk about, well, first of all, we only have like 3 or 4 subjects that we really talk about a lot around these parts, but boy, oh boy, one of them is imposter syndrome. And you are in a company, it can't be that many people over there, right? I mean, less than 100, right?
We're right about 100, yeah.
Right about 100. And I'd be willing to bet that 50% of those people are CCIEs, right?
No, it's probably
Enough.
Yeah, there's enough, yeah.
Okay. But that's most companies that have 100 people that are all networking focused don't have that many.
Correct.
Typically. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. But yeah, dude, so you're basically dipping your pen in the company ink there. Is that not intimidating at all? Because like I would be super intimidated if I was the network guy at INE. Because imagine, okay, you know how the memes go. So today Twitter went bananas. So obviously the 5 of us had no idea what to do with our lives at that point once Twitter went down for an hour or 2. So that really went well. But if the network goes down at INE and someone notices it, like there has got to be hell to pay for that, right? Like that's inexcusable. Do you remember that comedian Mitch Hedberg? He was like, oh yeah, he's like, if you were walking down the street with your friend who was a tightrope walker and he tripped, that would be completely unacceptable. Like that's exactly what this is. Like if the network goes down at INE and you're nothing but network engineers, what happens? Is it like the Spider-Man meme where you guys are all pointing at each other? Like,
yeah.
Well, first off, you just blanket statement blame the ISP. That buys you at least 25.
Trust me. Trust me.
It's DNS.
Yes,
Yeah.
DNS. It's the geo IP services. That's what it is. You guys got me routing out of LA. What are you doing?
It's
Anyway.
freaking Comcast, man.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
So-
So I mean, in all seriousness, though, yeah, it's not. I guess it's not to that level. I don't know. It's never come off that way. So.
Do you ever get the guys like looking over your shoulder, like, why are you doing it that way?
They're like, you can do a pipe include, right? Like you could do that.
Filter. Yeah.
You're typing. It's like, all right, I'll give you. Here's some ASMR for you. You're over there. and somebody's behind you, like Dan is constantly just going.
Why is it typing
you go to like click on something like, and then you move your mouse over to the other. You're like, Mike, stop.
Hasn't been the experience yet.
Oh my god!
But
But you get
stop there. Just go.
Just go. Do you get free training and stuff? That'd be a pretty sweet perk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess like a company IP or company email address. So log into AONE, watch some videos.
Nice. So
Yeah.
like I bet too that kind of company. This is interesting because I've never met anybody other than we just interviewed Knox that works at a place similar to that. So like, but it's different for you because you're not like you're not one of the trainers, right? So I'm really getting the behind the scenes. They always say, I love sausage, but I don't want to see how it's made. But in this particular case, I do want to see how you make the sausage because it is delicious.
Well, it's
but
funny you mention that because that's actually what I do. The actual AONE network, the production network, that's not. I usually don't touch that very much. It's all like our rack rental stuff, some new stuff we're doing.
Okay. Teach us how that works. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
So you go online and you buy these stuff. I'm just going to quickly, to the best of my ability, explain this. So stop me or correct me if I'm wrong with any of this. But so you buy tokens. AONE does a really cool thing where when you buy the training, you can also buy a lab booklet. Basically, you just follow along with the labs. It's really cool because basic stuff, typically like interface addresses for your like point-to-point links, like we all know that's the worst part of GNSA or Eve or even Viral or whatever. It's like initially setting the lab up so that you can go in and do what it is you actually want to do. Because yeah, so the rack rentals are cool because like they'll have a pre-built lab, but the topology is there as well. So basically you log in when your rack rental time is, and it uses so many tokens per hour, based on whatever it is you're doing. And you could just sit there the whole time and follow along with the book and go through the different labs and stuff, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
We shortcut the entire process of pre-building your lab, or even having to know how to build some of the.
Are you the guy building the lab?
No, I'll occasionally for access restrictions, I might take escalations from the rack support team. But that's mostly just like VMware permissions and some other stuff that would necessitate that. It's not very often. But we went through the Serpocalypse, right? And the blueprints all. If you ever look, especially at the CCIE level, they'll be they'll actually have an included software and hardware list that you would need to prepare for the exam.
Oh,
so
okay.
Basically, yeah, that's we're kind of adapting with Cisco, obviously, and so there's upgrades that need to happen. There's things that the instructors need for content creation, which is what I've been doing a lot of recently. Building new stuff, not necessarily that stuff, but supporting that, but building new stuff so that our
new stuff like what, like labs or something.
Yeah, for like all the new CC, we've done some CCNA boot camps. Keith has. I built the racks, the virtual racks for the CCNA boot camps. The CCIE service provider. It's about 40 VMs in those racks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll work with the instructors one-on-one. We'll kind of build a topology, a logical topology for whatever they're trying to do, whether it's a certain video or a series of videos or an entire learning path. But yeah, we'll get those created. Occasionally, I'll shortcut some work for them and actually do some of the base configs and things like that, just to save them time. That makes for better content. So. Yeah, that's kind of in the mix of things, Sometimes I'm working on data center stuff. Sometimes I'm working on service provider stuff. Sometimes it's, something specific like SD-WAN or.
Dude, that's so cool. It's weird because like, I don't know if anybody else here knew that he did that because I had no idea. I just thought he built. I actually thought he was like part of the WAN team for whatever reason, just because like the VPN thing. I had no idea, but here he is building. Right, like so. I'm just gonna volunteer you right now. So if you're listening to this and you want to know what kind of setup that you need for Xcert, your guy's right here. You can find them all over the place. It's no_DDP. DTP does not exist. It's a joke for those trying to type no DDP.
Well, that's not his Twitter handle though.
Yeah,
it's not anymore.
No, that's just like his name. His
name
on Twitter. His actual handle is at Zellers.
Okay. Yeah.
At CF Zellers 4, I think.
CF Zellers 4.
Oh, there's freaking three others.
Numeral 4 though.
Yeah. Okay, our song is the 5th, number 5.
Your kid?
Right.
Yeah, Carl Frederick the Fifth. Yep.
Carl. That's my Walking Dead impression for those.
You get his social. I'll show it to you real quick.
Carl. So you're the
that's kind of my day at AONE.
That's so cool, dude. So you're the guy that's building the token thing too, right? Or you at least know what it looks like how it works. So you're saying,
yeah, that's been around for a while.
But that's VMs.
It's a mix, VMs and physical hardware. Yep.
So are you guys running it are you guys running VMs on like ESXi or in an emulation program that you have that we don't know about?
Right on ESXi, yep.
Okay, that makes more sense to me then. So then basically they're already connected and then you're letting people type in whatever they want on the interfaces, et cetera, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Oh, that makes more sense. I see, it's like, I just didn't know. I kept wondering every time I'm like clicking around, for some strange reason, I should be focusing on, spanning tree or whatever crap I was learning for the day. And I'm like, gee, I wonder how this works. This is so weird. I'm like, I have no idea. Is there some guy I just pictured like the Hunchback of Notre Dame or whatever, and he's like plugging in my rack? He's getting zapped every time I change an interface. He's like, I'm going faster, sir.
Yeah, all the CCNA, CCNP stuff. I think that's all actual physical gear. But anything, and some of the NP and up is kind of a mix between software, VMs, and actual hardware. So
I did. I studied for my CCNP switch with AONE, and it was my first time, and I used the booklet that I was talking about for the labs, and then I did some rack rentals and stuff. Eventually, I just ended up just like building the topology, and really, in hindsight, I should have just been using the T-shoot topology the whole time. I mean, why not, right?
Yep.
It's got everything in it anyway. But yeah, I did it, and it was awesome. I mean, obviously, I passed switch, so that was cool. But it was very helpful because there was like sequential, like the lab was like sequential. So like you basically set yourself up almost like the CCIE lab. You set yourself up for the next part. And if you screwed something up, you were also screwed.
Pretty much how boot camps work too. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like that. I like that though.
Yeah.
Yep. That's so real world. It's like, okay, where the heck did I screw up? And then you have to go dig for it. And then you're like, oh my God.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I love that. So that's cool. So what you guys had since the Apocalypse, like obviously everything changed. So you're saying you had to change like the labs and stuff like that. So like, how have you guys been doing that? Did Cisco tell you early on like what the blueprint was going to be so that you could prepare for this, or did they just say, yeah, I mean, we really don't care about you. You could figure it out on your own. You guys are making money off us anyway.
Yeah, we had no pre-warning, as much pre-warning as anyone else had. So I don't know if it was at Cisco Live when that happened or what.
Yep, it was. Unless you were a Cisco champion, right, AJ?
That's right.
But you got to imagine. I mean, a lot of the official certification guides aren't even published yet. Some of them don't even have published dates. So I'm not even sure Cisco. I think Cisco had a plan with the certifications, but I don't think they had a whole holistic,
it's a lot
plan for all the other stuff that they would need. So
there probably should have been a longer let's just call it this. They probably should have had like a sunsetting process, right? Yeah. Where it wasn't just like today you can't, tomorrow you can, or vice versa. It's like, let's melt the two together so that you could study for both, right? If you currently are for, even a year or so, seems like it'd be adequate. So those of us who were trying to get CCNP toward the end there, like I got it a week before like a week. I had a week. Like
yeah, I remember that was a lot of fun on Twitter.
Oh yeah, dude, I was going banana. I failed it a few times too. But dude, I took 3 tests in like a month because of that,
Yeah.
Like I had to. I was like, well, I took everything but switch. So I took route and T-shoot, but multiple times because I kept failing it, obviously, until I got it on like a Monday night. God, what a relief, dude. I wasn't even excited. Like I wasn't even stoked when I got it. I seriously wasn't. I wasn't. I was just like, gosh, dang, why did they do that to me? You know what I mean?
I was pretty close to flipping the table over when I passed T-shoot.
Really? Did you take T-shoot last?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I took route, then switch, then T-shoot.
AJ did it the same way I did. Actually, so did Andy, where we all took switch first.
Yeah.
And I took 2 try. I think I got switch on my second try. I did. They threw me for a loop on that one. And then route
Because
was
you didn't
on
have spanning tree enabled.
no DTP. Yeah, it gets me again. But yeah, it was like going back to the test center like a year later to continue the studies for route was interesting because I remember like the thing with the CCNP and having 3 tests is like that thing is just always looming over you for some reason. It's like here you are trying to read through like switch, right? And then like I get half a second break and I'm like, I have 2 more of these to figure out. And I'm not even like 10 pages into this thing. Like
I think everybody in here was on that sprint of 2019.
no, we were
In some way,
actually.
shape, or form. Yeah.
And Andy's the same way I was too, where he took switch so much earlier. His actually expired. Mine didn't. But I caught it before it did. I don't even know why I just didn't continue going after I did switch, really, because it's like, hey, you just passed. But it's basically the same way that I felt about the other 2 tests, which is like the second I got done, wipe the sweat from my brow, take a long nap, call it a day, right? And then it's like, I'm never doing that again. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell everybody, I guess, but to me,
I'm glad I took route first. It was kind of all downhill from there. That was a beast.
Route. See, I thought route was pretty hard, but we were talking to Knox and he brought up something that was very interesting. And I'm glad we got new tests from Cisco. Like it's definitely a good thing, if not for just the content, because there's way more stuff now, right? That's relevant.
Yeah.
Like obviously the automation stuff is a big glaring difference. And then the omissions of some things, like that's good too. But to hear Knox's perspective about like, hey, imagine this from the test maker's perspective. He's like, you basically run out of questions to ask because people brain dump the heck out of everything. So like, let's say there's like 1,000 route questions that exist in this pool. Like, of course, some of them are trivia. You couldn't read that book and come up with 1,000 questions unless you were starting to ask questions like, what is the 3rd word on the 43rd page of the 5th paragraph? You know what I mean? Like that's where it was going to go next. You know what it is? Like it had to have, because they were running out of stuff to ask. Like how weird did those tests feel? Because everybody, I think, except for Dan, has taken that 3 CCNP track at one point, took at least one of those tests within the past couple of years or so. So it's all been the same test. So we all know what the questions were. And I'm not doing anything NDA wise here. I'm just saying like there were some just straight up trivia questions on there. No doubts about it, to where, we're taking practice tests and like, I'm like, yeah, I know how this technology works. And then they just hit you. I get it now. And that's probably why they had the hard day of like just cutting it completely off. Don't you think?
Not imposter syndrome. You just left the test center feeling terrible about yourself.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Yep. Awful.
Oh my God. Like, and then it's okay. So then it's like guys like you who have it already. So as for people that like I interact with on a daily basis the most, I would say you were probably the only person that had the full-blown process over with, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, no wonder he has a beard and a freaking ponytail. Like he's been holed up in his office for 3 years. Like, I'm ready to go bananas and jump out a window, dude.
From December of 2018 through July, August timeframe of 2019 was 3 hours a day minimum.
Wow.
And that's what a lot of people say about the CCIE, but that's, in my experience, that's exactly how hard route was. It was.
I would agree with that. Actually, I have weird emotions, I feel like, about the CCIE lab. So I feel like on one hand that it would almost be easier, right? Because, and I know it's not, like I haven't taken it, so obviously it's perspective, but like I would find that more at least enjoying from a pressure perspective than sitting there for an hour and a half sweating, like literally sweating, because I have never even heard of what they're asking me.
But that's why you like T-shoot better than route or switch.
Of course.
Because it's as engineers, that's what you want, is you want a practical application way of proving your knowledge or skills or whatever.
I know. I had, shout out to the Boson XSim because the NetSim, because for T-shoot, because you could copy the topology. That's awesome. and they gave you tickets, and it was great. So I would go in with the tickets on the NetSim product and just time myself. And I'm not kidding you, dude, because there's 19 tickets on there. I was getting them less than a minute and a half each one. And I don't
was the same way.
yeah,
Same
but
thing.
they weren't it wasn't like I was memorizing the questions, because the tickets are just numbered and there's 20 of them, just like on the actual test. But I would just go in and randomly click on one. I had no idea which one was which. It would ask me to find the problem. I'd find it in like 35 seconds, and I'd go through the questions and answer them like boom, 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 boom. And I wasn't missing anything, right? And I get to the actual T-shoot, and they hit me with almost the identical stuff. And you know what I found out? This is hilarious, because I had to Google this because I thought I was going bananas. There was a question on one of these tickets, on one of these T-shoot tickets, where, and this is the only T-shoot ticket it did this on, you actually had to scroll down in the answer box. The only time a scroll wheel appeared on any of the answers was on this one question. And I don't remember what it was. It was a layer 2 problem. And I found it right away. And I'm like, no. This is the problem. Like, I know for a fact. And I'd open up the question and none of the answers I wanted were there. So I'm so freaking mad. I go home and I'm like, there's no way. I know the technology. Like, I know, like, first of all, I know where I can't ping anymore, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious. So either the exam's busted, the question's busted, and it's wrong, or I'm just like, I have the monitor off, or I'm busted. Probably that one. Well, that has nothing to do with the test.
It was kind of a make your own story for anyone who had never took it. You know, you find the fault domain, and then depending on what you selected, there'd be
gave you different
answers.
That was crazy.
It would be different based on your initial answer, or
Right.
or the third would be different based on your second answer.
So if you guessed, it wasn't like it wasn't like it was easy to solve, like I guessed, and then it took me to like basically follow the bouncing ball. Like, then logically this must be next, and then this must be. No, it was hard. It was like
always the same problem.
Yep. It was the topology.
IP, same topology, unless it was the V6 or the V4 difference, but it was always the host can't ping Y. That's exactly.
Yep. Always, right? And so I'm finding the oh, you know what it was? It was something about it was a VACL. So I found the problem with the VACL, and that turns out that particular answer was in a scroll section. Like, I'm not kidding you. I went home and I Googled this. I was like T-shoot question about VACL. And I found on Reddit, somebody was like, there's one of the questions that has a scroll. And I'm like about to like throw this microphone like out the window. Like, no, that's a lot of money, dude.
Well, it was kind of weird because it was a little bit subjective. There were several where I knew what the fix was. The third part of the question, what would you do to fix it? And the answer wouldn't be there, right? But that's only because, like, when you look at the fault domain, it could really fall into maybe one or two categories.
Mm-hmm.
But the subsequent answers, it's like, well, I know what this is, right? Like you said, a VACL, VLAN ACL, right? So you might say a layer 2 problem, and then it's on switch 2. That's where it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then the fix wouldn't be there. And you thought, I thought, well, that's weird, man, because that's the way I would fix it. That's kind of the way I would assume would be best practices to fix it. So you go back a few steps. Okay, well, maybe they're interpreting this fault domain as this, or it was the fault domain, the technology at fault, and then what would you do to fix it? So, yeah, there was a couple I had. You can actually go back through the answers in the ticket. You just can't go back tickets. So,
yeah,
you kind of had to like, if you like you said, I know what it is, I see it, I know where it is. Then you kind of have to, trudge through some of the objectivity that they actually had in the wording of the answers. So
and the one thing about T-shoot though is that part wasn't as bad as a traditional 5 to 6 year old Cisco exam that turns into nothing but trivia, because like we just learned, that's kind of what they do. They just result to trivia because everybody gets the answers from the internet. But in T-shoot, it's like you still, even if it did exist somehow, there's no way. I just don't understand that. You would just be able to just find the interface that you can't ping. I mean, come on, people. If you're listening at home and you want to be a network technician, ping until you cannot. Okay. Like trace route if you must. Ping until you cannot. It's pretty simple, right? Like especially on that topology, it's like you're user A, you're trying to figure out why you can't reach B. I mean, and you can't reboot it. So that's not the answer.
What's funny about that? I think the real world had me jaded so much that I never actually believed that the PC couldn't ping. So I'd always ping every ticket. I'd try to ping it again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Watch it. It'll ping this
Verify.
time.
Verify.
Verify. Yep. Oh, right. So yeah, I would have thought that it would have been cool because I did have one sim on there that wasn't a ticket that I thought was really cool. I'm not going to say what it was. Okay. I thought that it was really cool because I did not see it coming. It was basically like, configure this. It's broken. And I was like,
yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
It's a certain layer 4 routing protocol,
I remember
if you want to call it that.
Yep.
Yeah. we all had it.
Yep.
Dude, I opened it up and I was like, first of all, let me just say straight up that I outthought myself like you wouldn't believe. I go into that sim and I'm like, all right, let's see. I know, all people and oranges or whatever it was. And I'm like, I'm going to find out what's going on here. And, it was something stupid. It was actually something really easy. It was like one of the neighbor statements had like a wrong number flipped or something ridiculous. And here I am going, let me check. You know what? Freaking, they're using loopback interfaces to peer with each other. I'm like, they don't have freaking BGP multi-hop on. Here, let me add that. I'm like, no. Like
what you just said is the core of the engineering part of it is you weren't lost in the woods. You had places to go. You had things to check, even though you were caught off guard. That's
too many.
Too many.
Yeah. Well, my mind was spinning out of control. I'm like, no, what? That's not it. Okay. What could be wrong here? Yeah, that totally caught me off guard. And there was also a couple of just basic questions as well. It's interesting. I heard I was watching YouTube and it was a guy going over the CCIE test, the lab test, and he was going over the diag section. I think it's the diag section, or maybe it's the troubleshooting question. But what they do, and this is so cool, like the format of it, they literally take you to like an email client and you have to follow this trail of emails like a trouble ticket. Just like, how many times have you had to do that in your life? That's so funny, right? And and then it goes to like the customer and he's complaining about this. And it's like, it's all this back and forth between two people and you catch up at the very end. They're like, Carl, we need you to come in and save the day, bro. And so you do what you always do. Like, cause I get forwarded these all the time. Like, oh, okay. And then you play catch up, go to the very bottom. How did this start? And you like go through and you're like, okay. And then you have to go find it. But what's cool is you have to go find it. Then you have to go fix it. But it's like still one big topology, like almost like your AONE labs are, where if you screw that one up or don't fully fix it, you're going to be hosed on a subsequent ticket because you didn't fix it fully. And that was required for like, let's say like some overlay reachability or something. So I thought that was pretty cool. But closest thing to T-shoot we're going to get, boys.
Carl, I can't let you out of here without asking you because you have so many certs. And you touched on it a little bit, but I need to know how you study. You started to get into, little bit. Yeah, like you said, you do 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But then you said with route, you were doing 3 hours a day. So,
But how?
Yes,
like
I think there's no one answer. It's always different. Like route, what I would do was I would take practice tests through the certification guide, identify my weak areas. A lot of times those were some of those niche kind of topics where you really have to start getting into white papers and stuff or some of it you could lab, but back for CCNP, CCNA, it was really heavy on packet tracer, not a lot of reading. For route, a lot of videos. Recently, I don't know that I've watched more than maybe 30 or 40 hours of video training in the last 6-8 months.
What's it look like now? Reading and labbing?
Yeah, reading. Historically, reading's never really been effective for me, but I don't know what it is. But Like
it's not effective for anybody.
The salad book it read really well. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
A unique experience. It stuck. I understood it. It was laid out logically. It made sense. And same with SD-WAN. That 2 chapters in, and it literally just makes sense. You know, it's not overly.
So what do you do then?
Some of the readings to be kind of not organized the right way.
No,
right?
they're definitely not all of them. So what do you? So what do you? Since you're saying basically that you, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying basically that depends.
Yeah,
it depends on the cert,
yeah,
or that you're opening the book and you're reading the first couple of pages and you're like, nah, this ain't for me. It's video time. Like, is that how it's going down?
Yeah. I mean, depending on multicast the topic, right?
Yeah.
I got maybe halfway through that chapter, and that I closed the book and went straight to the videos because it's. Sometimes that's a shortcut as far as, condensing material. Sometimes it's a clarity thing. I'm not, I'm reading the words, but it's not, it's not going in straight or sticking straight, So at that point, I kind of want to hear someone else's voice, someone else's perspective of multicasts, for example. So,
but now
dense mode, sparse mode. I read dense mode versus sparse mode, and I think, in a video you get these ad hoc examples. So, yeah, that it just depends on the topic. It depends on time of year, how I'm feeling. I guess I don't know.
Do you structure your time? Do you have dedicated times?
No, I've read, I've heard all the trackers and heard all the, the ways people have these boards and stuff. I'm not sure what they're called, but
no.
My style is very organic. I try to, if it's been a hard day at work or family or something, I push it to the side. I don't deal with it. If it's been a little bit calmer of a day, I have some mental capacity left. Yeah.
Okay, so pretend for a second that you're Andy Lab Tech.
Please don't.
And every day is stressful.
Nah, I mean, we're painting a picture here that
your back's about to start hurting too. So.
Poor guy.
They like to beat up on me. Carl.
No.
But you can't beat up on yourself, man. If it's been a hard day, don't just. I mean, I don't know.
Don't punish yourself.
See how you feel. If you just get more angry.
Here's the problem. We keep having guests on that, for lack of a better term, are cert princesses, and I mean that with all the respect that I can muster. And I ask every one of them, "What am I doing wrong?" And I still really haven't learned the secret sauce.
To be fair, you weren't asking, what am I doing wrong? You were saying, what are you doing? Because you assumed what you were doing was wrong.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So, this is my little selfish Andy's Corner part of the podcast where I try to figure out how the hell to get my MP and all the other stuff I got to learn.
Let's be honest too. I don't know what my quote unquote batting average is with exams, but it's not over 500. I'm not batting 300. I don't think.
See, that's the thing too, right? Is like we started very early on about talking about failures, right? Because no one does, because we just have no idea. You always just see, because that's why we made up the failure plaque, right? Because no one has any idea how many times you took the test.
Exactly.
Because you don't get a cert for taking the test, good or bad. It's just like you just get one when you pass. So that's all you see. You never see. It's like the tip of the iceberg, but most of the iceberg is below that. Like that's everybody. And I think we have been selfishly. I'm with Andy too on this one. I want to know what people are doing, because we do see that. Like I was saying, I knew very early on that you had a CCNP. I was like, man, I wonder how he did that. I was just curious. We always ask. Yet for some reason, we still don't have anything. We have we have nothing.
And that's why I asked earlier how much experience you had, because I was hoping you had 20 years experience in the industry, and I'm like, all right, that's why. But you have the same experience I do. Basically, you have a wife and a kid and responsibilities. You have 10 active certs. I have one that's about to expire, and I may be an imposter, Carl. An actual imposter that doesn't belong.
Andy, you're no more of an imposter than I am, dude. I've only got my CCENT.
First of all, Dan, why are you talking sexy like that? That made no sense.
That was his calm therapist voice. He was trying to talk me off the ledge. Andy, you're doing everything right. Everything's good. Take a deep breath.
I'll be honest
You're
with
okay.
you. If I
You're
were
okay,
to
little
use
buddy.
some
You're
sort
okay.
of system to keep myself on track and all this, it would stress me to the point where I probably would just walk away.
So if you had a process, you're saying if you had a process, you'd feel like you were stuck in a cage.
I don't know, man. I think I would just worry about it. Oh, I didn't update it. Oh, I deviated.
Right. That's just another thing. Yeah. I was meaning more along the lines like you had a scheduled time every day, or a scheduled amount of time, or whatever. Not saying like you have a whole full blown whiteboard behind you where you're like drawing pie charts of like what you learned today. I just mean like you had 2 hours in the morning, no matter what that you did, or if I didn't have those 2 hours, I would read at lunch and then go home for a half hour. Like we're always trying to find something. Like there has to be something. I mean, I could tell you what I do, but I want to know from someone who's done more than what I've done, like, and that's why we're always asking. We're like, what? Teach us. But I guess maybe what we're learning is that no one has a process and everybody does it completely differently.
And they're all smarter than me.
Yeah, right. Well, and by default, that makes you smarter than all of us. Like, yeah, we're all just struggling. And like, it's weird because we do ask that almost like that's actually, no, we do. We ask that very specific question. So what do you do on a daily basis? Like the first thing out of everybody's mouth is, not much. Whatever I want. I don't know. Some days I just end
up with the cert.
I just end up with the cert.
I didn't study at all today. I don't have a date for any next exam or anything.
I was going to ask you that. You don't schedule your exams as like a motivator or anything?
Here's what I do. This is I don't know if you want to call this a trick.
All right, here we go.
All right,
Dan,
so here's what I started doing.
Getting good.
Yeah, Dan.
When you set a date, you just stress yourself out, man. Oh, I'm on the 13th. Guess what happens on the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th?
Procrastination.
All you're thinking about is the 13th. That's all you're thinking about.
Yeah.
So the cool thing with the tests from home stuff now, this is what I do. I just study, and I'll notice as I'm feeling more comfortable what may equate to, I don't know, a 2 weeks from test date kind of thing, where you might historically in the past have had to say, well, I've got to line up a lunch break, a commute to a test center, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Throw that out the window. But you're in kind of that 2 week span where you're getting close. So you study, you ramp it up, you kind of read whatever you do, hit your weak points. But here's what I've done this entire year. I'll have enough, right? I'll be studying and it's over. I'll go to Pearson VUE, look, if there's something within an hour or two, I go do it. Because just like the dentist, if you know your appointments next Thursday, guess what? Yeah. You got 4 days of misery ahead of you.
How do you gauge your readiness? Are you doing practice exams?
Yeah, mostly practice exams. Like Juniper has practice exams. Cisco has practice exams. Palo Alto had practice. I don't know that I've taken a certification that really didn't have any kind of hands-on or pre-test assessment.
I love the Juniper stuff for that. Like the Juno's Genius is so great. Like I wish Cisco had that.
Yep.
Like it's so
Super
money,
cool stuff.
But it's good for them because like it gets people to go to the website, right? Like it's consumable. It's free. You could get a voucher for, a percentage off. Like they really encourage it, which I guess that's what you do if you have a lesser market share, especially in the certification space than, the mothership Cisco. So that's good.
And the important thing is to at least take it. Don't put it on a pedestal. Don't let it overtake you. I've taken 8 or 9 or 11 exams or 4 exams, whatever the case may be. I still, moments before they release it, I still have the same as I did at the very beginning, the feeling. Oh my gosh. Because no matter what test you take, no matter how much experience you have, you're going to hit either, early on the first question or somewhere down the line, you're going to hit something and you're going to go, oh my gosh.
What is this?
I don't even, those 3, I couldn't tell you what that acronym meant. for $1 million.
It's so bad when you get like they're asking you something and you read 4 answers and you don't know what any of those things are. The answers, you're like, yeah, how does that happen? I mean, I read the
pick
book.
3. It's one of those what doesn't belong kind of scenarios. If it's straight up, I mean, eliminate, the ones that definitely aren't it.
You're right, but let's say you don't know that. Let's say that there isn't any that definitely are not it. You know what I mean?
Like SAT strategy at that point.
Yeah. You mean using the Scantron test to draw out a stick figure? Because that's what I did. So
I played tic-tac-toe.
Carl, do you know, just real quickly? So I guess I probably already know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Do you know what's next on your radar?
As far as
tests go.
Yeah, it'll be the SD-WAN.
SD-WAN, cool.
Yeah, I was on security core for a few months, but kids at home and stuff. The core, honestly, I haven't taken a core exam, but they scare me to death. 100 some odd questions, the depth, the breadth, the width,
that's how I feel
scary.
about Encore, Carl. Encore scares the shit out of me, and mostly because automation. It just terrifies me.
Yeah, scared. Dude, I got straight up scared of S-Core, so I put the book in my closet and haven't looked at it in probably 2 months.
This is where I do pull out the gun. I stick a couple bullets in the chamber, and one of those bullets is not real. And then I put the gun back, and I realized that it's really not that serious.
But somebody recently, may or may not be very close to the conversation, said he himself might be studying the same thing. So,
that's me. Well, okay. Look, to be fair, me and studying, like, it's not a thing. Like, I'm not scheduling this. I'm basically gonna do what you do. I like day of. I'm like, I'm feeling this. It's go time, baby.
Yep.
Otherwise, like, I guess maybe what it comes down to for me lately is that, like, I've always been kind of doing stuff for just myself. I've never gotten anything from a cert. Never gotten a raise. It's never gotten me a job. Like, I can't name one good thing other than, like, personal reasons that it's done for me in my actual career. It probably will in the future, right? So a little insurance, but I've always been doing it on my own. So then, people always ask about motivation. Like, that's finite. It 100% is. We can all attest to that. Like, some days you just don't have it. It's cool. Don't push yourself. But, like, I don't have any long-term motivation other than I'm just going to do it to prove it to myself. You know what I mean? Like, I claim to be this SD-WAN guy. Put your money where your mouth is, bro. Because, like, I don't like chasing clout or anything, but I feel like I have to live up to that at least somewhat. So yeah, I'm not, I would call that loosely studying. I do have the book. I got both those books. They came very fast. Got a sweet discount, got the electronic ones and the Pearson tests, which I'm excited about too. So
did you open them?
What's that?
Did you open the books?
Yeah.
Good.
One of them's holding my.
I've never really had a laid out plan or anything, but yeah, it's stuff I'm interested in.
Oh my God, Carl, let's do it together. You and me, we are the sandwich. We are the sandwich. But we just need Dan in the middle.
Fully automated traffic engineering experts.
Yes. All right. On that note, we're going to call it a day because we've been pushing our hour very, very hard. Carl, any last final words for the lovely audience that you are actually a part of as well?
Yeah. It's been totally fun in the Discord channel, interacting with people, seeing people win, seeing people, get psyched up to get to really better themselves, not really have something in a plaque on a wall, but a genuine interest in bettering themselves. And that's really what it's all about for me as well. So I've had a lot of fun getting to know people and learning from people and helping. So
for sure. Yeah, no, we all echo that. I mean, obviously we're also in there, but all of the above. And lately we've been seeing a large surge in people applying for new jobs and also people building blogs based off of a conversation we were all having about, branding yourself and stuff. So that's been really cool to see because a very unexpected, I would say. But
Has it been 3 new blogs?
yeah,
3?
there might be 4. There might be
this
4
week
now.
alone.
Yeah, like in the last day or 2.
Yeah.
Actually, since Tuesday. It's like I know the exact day. It's been since Tuesday. There's been like 4 since Tuesday.
Yeah, there's been like 3 blogs, 1 haircut. I mean,
a haircut. Yeah.
I haven't had a haircut in 3 years.
2 mustaches and a beard.
and a beard.
All right, we're cutting this off. We're obviously we're getting ornery. We're like a couple of 4-year-olds. We're ready for bed. So thanks for checking us out. We'll leave all of Carl _DTP's information. You can find him. You can't miss him. He's got a giant red beard in his picture. So if you're also living under a rock and you can't seem to find him, we'll put all of his stuff in the show notes. Artofnetworkengineering.com. That's where you can find all of us. Make sure you subscribe. And as AJ will say, and will repeat in the outro, make sure you smash that bell icon so you get notified. Actually, he doesn't say it like that, but you get the idea. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.
Hey everyone, this is AJ. If you like what you heard today, then make sure you subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcatcher. Smash that bell icon to get notified of all of our future episodes. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at ArtOfNetEng. That's Art of NETENG. You can also find us on the web at artofnetworkengineering.com, where we post all of our show notes. You can read blog articles from the co-hosts and guests, and also a lot more news and info from the networking world. Thanks for listening.